Should illegal aliens be counted in the census? And should your congressional district be changed because illegal aliens are counted toward reapportionment? Hi, I'm Dan Stein, joined by RJ Hauman, FAIR's Director of Government Relations. And President Trump has made a bold move this week to actually exclude illegal aliens from the reapportionment count, thereby telling California, New York, and some of these other states that encourage and reward illegal immigration, you're not going to take representation from U.S. citizens who deserve to have their day in court. RJ, what's the story?
Well, this is another great action by President Trump. And you know, again, honestly, when he lost in SCOTUS, I mean, it wasn't the end of everything. So they're trying to re-engineer something. So again, on Tuesday, he issued a memorandum, okay? And it was an honest attempt to ensure that the constitutional mandate that requires that they count every single person residing in our country and guarantees full and fair representation to every citizen and lawful immigrant. The memo was called Excluding Illegal Aliens from the Apportionment Base Following the 2020 Census. So what they're trying to do is use data that's available, data that he's trying to acquire, federal government agencies working with states. He did this via another EO last July. So they're trying to identify unauthorized illegal aliens, where they live, and then subtract those numbers from the count after the census for the purpose of properly apportioning House seats for the next decade. Again, those identified would still be included in the number of people residing here in the country. The Constitution requires that. However, and this is the most important thing they're trying to do, prevent states from increasing their political power and their share of federal funding by encouraging and abetting illegal immigration. So again, this is a good effort. We're a little cold on this because it's a belated attempt, okay? This should have been done in the first 100 days to really ensure fair representation, because again, we're also fearful that it will have a limited impact because of inevitable court challenges that will surely come. Anything the administration does on immigration, or anything the left taps into judicial supremacy, and also the data that they need. It may be a bit late to obtain that. And of course, you have some states that have the most illegal aliens, California, New York. Are they really going to share all the data with the federal government, especially the Trump administration? I don't think so. But again, this is a good, valiant effort by the Trump administration and really shines a light on something FAIR has acknowledged for years about how illegal aliens skew the power and proper representation of the American people in Congress.
Yeah, FAIR has been working on this issue since 1979. It was the very first legal case FAIR brought, FAIR versus Klutznick, as part of our operations. And, you know, even though the president arguably is going to be challenged in court, it's so important that the president do these kinds of things to educate the American people on the degree to which illegal immigration is now incentivized. And these states who see that they're going to get more representation in the House of Representatives, more federal money, if they pack illegal aliens into their state, reward them, attract them, and otherwise accommodate them, which has led us today to things like the sanctuary movement and the obstruction of federal enforcement in state-level cooperation. There is money and there is power at stake here. So what Trump is doing is educating the American people on the consequences of this and making it abundantly clear. Whether this effort is successful or not, it's important to think about the future. And this status quo cannot obtain. The Constitution could not have possibly conceived that when our House was going to be reapportioned, that there were going to be millions and millions of illegal aliens that were skewing the process and shifting representation to different parts of the country. So good on the president on that. On other fronts, the House of Representatives just passed two fresh bills, actually tacked on to an unrelated bill, two proposals, one that says you get legal representation. Yes, you get a lawyer when you show up at the border. You get a lawyer, okay? This is going to take, hundreds of millions of dollars. I know every American out there has all the legal representation they want, so we can afford to spend all this taxpayer money on every alien who shows up at our borders to get a lawyer. And then they have another unrelated. Tell me about these provisions that the Democrats are pushing in the House.
Yeah, Dan. Fortunately, these fair opposed bills are now dead in the upper chamber. But first, it's called the No Ban Act. This was supposed to be on the House floor back in early March. And what it would do is really make some disturbing changes to the president's 212F authority, which allows the president to determine if classes of aliens represent a threat to the United States. I don't know, like when terrorism's on the horizon or a global health pandemic. So again, what this bill does, it would take the president's authority and allow the State Department to do it which must consult with Congress before taking any action. So it would take a while for the president to do this. And most egregiously, it actually terminates a lot of previous travel bans that President Trump did that were mirrored by what was done under Bush and Obama. Here's the biggest thing here. This is politics at its worst. This bill was supposed to be considered on the date of March 11th. Do you know what also happened on March 11th? President Trump did his second coronavirus-related travel ban, banning travel from Europe. So Democrats pulled it from the House floor. I think they thought, wow, the president actually could use this authority. We're going to hold on it. But now, as the coronavirus crisis still rages, to appease a bunch of radicals in their caucus and a base who opposes anything restriction-related on immigration, they put it on the floor and it passed along party lines. But again, this is a terrible thing. And second, on the legal stuff, as you mentioned, it's called the Access to Counsel Act by far-left Open Borders Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal from up in Seattle. Under the INA, which governs immigration law, illegal aliens cannot receive taxpayer-funded legal counsel. Well, that isn't overturned. This really creeps to that point. It would guarantee those selected for additional screening access to a lawyer. This would back up so many wait times at ports of entry that are already clogged. And also, I even call this a bailout or a stimulus package for far-left Open Borders immigration lawyers. It's a de facto monetary giveaway. They can now even expect more business if this was to become law. But again, fortunately, given the breakdown in Republican control of the Senate, we think they are dead on arrival there. Next week, something big shaping up as well. Funding for Department of Homeland Security. You have people like AOC and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. They don't want a single dime to go not only to ICE, but now CBP, because CBP people have been appearing, trying to address a lot of riots that are happening around the country. So much going on right now.
Protecting federal property, right?
Yes, absolutely. And they should be funded accordingly, not totally gutted. And especially these packages are all going to be together. So is your hate, AOC, for ICE and CBP going to prevent you from giving funds to any other government agency as well at a critical time? It shouldn't.
Well, I mean, this has to be some of the most historically irresponsible political activity that we've seen in the history of the country. They don't seem to have any idea what the implications are for abolishing ICE or CPB, Customs and Border Patrol Protection. These are the U.S. Customs Service. This prevents all kinds of things, child trafficking, sex trafficking, smuggling, contraband, drugs, the whole nine yards. This is a statement in favor of complete lawlessness. Then you see the fact that they're objecting to CPB officials actually trying to protect federal property in Portland, Oregon. They are precipitating kind of a national constitutional crisis of their own making. And if they honestly believe that there are people in their own party who support this kind of thing, I think you're going to find that average mainstream Democrats, beginning to wonder if the Democrats as a party are like glued to reality at this point. Are they determined to give President Trump re-election by passing these crazy, outrageous bills? And what percent of the population would support abolishing ICE and CPB, right? Probably almost. Maybe 2%, 3%. So, I mean, what you have is apparently elected officials that are really out of touch with the average American and where they are on these issues. So, it's not likely they're going to work with Trump. He's talking about doing something on DACA. One day he's talking about rescinding it. The next day he's talking about a deal. Not exactly clear where he's going, but all of us are concerned that the Supreme Court said, look, you got to do it in accordance with the Administrative Procedure Act. So do it, okay? Just get up there and do it, abolish it, start over. Next Congress, the Democrats come to the table and act like grown-ups for 5 minutes and actually want to do some trade-offs and give us something responsible like E-Verify, border security. They're not going to get a DACA amnesty unless the president does it unilaterally, and he would be telling folks, you know what, if you think Obama can just let in people at will, then I'm going to design my own immigration policy and see how you like it. I don't think the Democrats want to go down that path, and the Supreme Court should have done the right thing and told the president that what was done was illegal, and he had every right to stop it. So now we are, as a result of an absence of firm leadership in the Supreme Court, and now with the Democrats in Congress, the president can't fix all these problems without cooperation in Congress, RJ. So Fair's going to continue to shine the light on these abuses, these outrageous bills that are passing in the House in particular, and also try to make sure we hold the Trump administration accountable to make sure he and the president and his folks meet their commitments to the American people and all the promises they made in 2016. So we'll be back and more at you in the coming weeks as we learn more about progress in the White House and on Capitol Hill. Thanks, RJ.
Thanks, Dan.